Hello everyone, and welcome to this week's Midweek Moment. It's hard to believe, but here we are already. It's the second week of Lent. And one of the practices that Christians often do during the season of Lent is the practice of taking an inventory and removing the things from our life that aren't essential and discovering or rediscovering or centering ourselves before the one who truly is essential. And we just kicked off a brand new preaching series this last Sunday, Down to Earth. And over the next 6 weeks together, we are going to be looking at the I am statements of Jesus. And one of the things that we discover in these proclamations is Jesus is calling the listeners and the believers to remember what's essential in their life, or better yet, who is essential. And in the first I am statement from John's gospel, Jesus is traveling along and he can't seem to get away from the crowds. And one of the disciples comes to Jesus and asks, how are we going to feed all of these people? And after a brief conversation, Jesus directs the disciples to a small boy with 5 loaves of bread and a couple of fish, and he miraculously feeds the crowd. It's an incredible miracle, no doubt. So when Jesus tries to get away from the crowds again, they follow him. And Jesus begins to catch what's going on here. He recognizes their motives, and he calls them to remember what's essential. He says, I tell you the truth, you want to be with me because I fed you, not because you understood the miraculous signs. But don't be so concerned about perishable things like food. Spend your energy seeking the eternal life that the Son of Man can give you. For the God the Father has given me the seal of approval. And then eventually Jesus makes this incredible proclamation. He says, I am the bread of life. Whoever comes to me will never be hungry again. Whoever believes in me will never be thirsty. But you haven't believed in me even though you have seen me. Again, he says, I am the bread of life. In other words, Jesus is proclaiming himself to be essential. And he's asking those who follow him to follow him for no other reason than he is the essential, the essence, everything to their life. During this season of Lent, the invitation for all of us is not just to remember what is essential, but who is essential. And in Jesus calling himself the bread of life, he is reminding all of us to turn to him for our daily nourishment. It's no wonder why he says, blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness. It's no wonder Jesus also calls himself the light of the world and living water, because these are essentials. Jesus is everything. I don't know about you, but one of the things that I am learning during a very difficult season of my life is what this looks like in the highs and the lows. And I cannot imagine a single day without the lows and the highs, without Jesus, my daily bread, my everything, the essential. And over the next 6 weeks after this Wednesday, we are going to be looking at the daily offices so that you can join in with us on this centering practice of tuning our hearts to God and remembering that Jesus is our daily bread, that he is essential. That's all for this week's Midweek Moment. See you on Sunday.